Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition or wants to do some career management. And in addition to good morning, happy Aloha Friday, as I always like to welcome people. If you're visiting us new for the first time and you think my screen is blurry, I don't think that's the case. I am wearing an Hawaiian shirt, and I do that every Friday. Alex, I think we should have had our meeting yesterday for Friday afternoon. You would have seen my Hawaiian shirt in person. In addition to being Happy Aloha Friday, today is National Dewey Decimal System Day. And if you are not familiar with the Dewey Decimal System, not a lot of people are. It is not really a true numerical system. It's the numerical system that libraries use for cataloging books. And I think it's appropriate to celebrate and recognize the Dewey Decimal System Day because we would normally meet at the Princeton Public Library. But while we're meeting virtually, we are not going to meet at the library. We'll probably meet at the library again, hopefully at some point in early 2022, but those dates haven't been set. So, but we do think about our friends at the Princeton Public Library and want to celebrate National Dewey Decimal System Day. PSG of Mercer County has lots of resources for anyone in career transition, not just people who live in central New Jersey. And among the resources we do have is our LinkedIn group. So please look for our LinkedIn group. It is called PSG of Mercer County. It is not a hidden group, so you will be able to find it if you search for it. And it's a little bit of a private group in that when you do request to join, you press the join button, you'll be put in pending status. You won't be accepted right away. And once a week, what we do is we do check people that have requested against our list of email addresses and such, because we do want to make sure that anyone that is a member of our group is really a job seeker. We're just trying to keep the name collectors, the list collectors, the salespeople out. Not if you're a professional salesperson in your job search, but if you're just looking to collect names, we're trying to keep those people out and avoid solicitations. So, but do click the join button to join our group. Once a member, we have over 1,690 members right now. We add about 2 or 3 a week. So we're very close to 1,700. And all the members are people that have been through job search, have visited our group at least once. And so there's a good chance that as you do reach out to any of the members in our group, there's a good chance that they will contact you back. A lot of times as we reach out to people in LinkedIn to ask for information or guidance or help or any other assistance, some of them don't write back. There's a good chance the people in our group will. Doesn't matter how many first degree connections you have, once you're a member of the group, all those people in the group become virtually your first degree connections, and you can connect to them individually through the group. So it does expand your network by joining a group. And when you can, every once in a while, share job leads or articles or any other information so you can contribute a little bit. Share your elevator pitch to introduce yourself. That's always a good idea. And another thing, if you've got a car or boat to sell, don't use the group. That's not what we want to use it for. We really want to use it for anything that's kind of job and career related. I'm sure there's some other good groups for selling items like that. So please join our LinkedIn group. And we also have our website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org. psgofmercercounty.org. So take a look at our website. It is over 120 web pages of content. There's a lot of information. So it's not just a landing page. It's not just about Mercer County or Princeton. We have a menu along the top. The very first upper left menu option is called Career Options. So if you are interested in learning about different options in your career search, maybe it's a good place to start right after today's meeting. You may want to learn about getting started in job search if you're fairly new, or getting restarted. Maybe you want to learn about working as a consultant rather than just considering working as a full-time employee, or considering starting a business or buying a franchise. We've got sections that discuss all of those different career options. Not all of those options are helpful or available for everyone, but any one of them may be of interest to you, especially if you have not considered that before or had a place to start that kind of job search. So go take a look at our website, and again, 120 pages of content. You may want to look at that first menu option, Career Options. In just a moment, I am going to turn over the meeting to our presenter this morning, Marty Latman. I'm so pleased that Marty will be here. And actually, if you ask me if I'm pleased, I will not say it depends. I am absolutely pleased. All right, I'm not going to point you out, but there is someone that keeps turning on your microphone. Please keep your microphone on mute until we're ready to ask questions. Just trying to keep background noise down. And the way we're going to offer or answer questions, Marty wants to make this as interactive a presentation as possible. I think we've all gotten comfortable with using virtual meetings, not that we like them any better, but we're comfortable. So we're comfortable turning on and off our microphones when we do want to communicate with each other. So what we'll do is, if you have a question, use chat. Chat is the little icon in the upper right-hand corner. It looks a little bit like this. I do have virtual meeting flashcards for people when their microphones go off or whatnot. So it's this little circular picture in the upper right corner. Use that, and you have an option of who you can send it to. Send it to everybody. That way, Marty, myself, and a few other people who will be monitoring will see the question. Okay, there's somebody who keeps turning on your microphone. Please keep your microphone off. Please do so. Trying to keep accidental interactions down. So use chat, write the word question. If you write the word question in chat, that's the digital equivalent of raising your hand. And so then we'll just say, recognize you at that point. I'll simply just say to Marty, oh, excuse me, Marty, there's a question. Or another option, if you prefer not to speak with Marty, then what will happen is write the word question followed by your question, and I will read your question on your behalf to Marty. It'll be the same thing. As he finishes up either a bullet or a slide, I'll just excuse myself and get his attention. And so if you just write the word question, you'll speak with him directly. If you write type the question in there, I will read it on your behalf. So those are kind of our ground rules for the day. And with that, no further delay, PSG of Mercer County is just very pleased to welcome Marty Latman. Marty is called by many people the best networker they know. He is a people helper and a matchmaker. As managing partner of Latman Advisory Services, LLC, he provides business consulting services to help organizations achieve their business goals and improve their profitability. Marty also provides mentoring and career coaching services to professionals. He teaches, trains, advises, and supports professionals in many industries and at all levels in the techniques they need to elevate their careers to the higher level. Over 1,250 professionals have said that through his help, they landed the position they desire. Marty takes a collaborative approach as he works closely with his clients to meet their unique needs and goals. Marty is a CPA and has spoken at many local international professional organization conferences. He is also the co-chairman of the Financial Executive Networking Group, also known as FENG, F-E-N-G, and their resident coaching expert. So PSG of Mercer County is always pleased to welcome the best networker I know, Marty Latman.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it. It's really a pleasure to be here today. It's great to see such familiar faces. For those, what you might want to check throughout the presentation is check with Charlotte Ann. She's baking cookies at the moment, and maybe she could share some of those with you along the way. I have to thank Alex for sending me a note last night to tell me to go to sleep early because of this morning's presentation and the one that I have tomorrow at the Breakfast Club. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. In spite of your note, I did wake up a little later today. So anyway, look, the situation we have right now, this is going to be a presentation for you. You know, if you have questions, as David said, you know, if you want, shout it out. If not, put it in the chat. Let's make it as productive as we can and as effective as we can. This is what we'll talk about today: managing your job search successfully. Okay. And you know, before we start, I just want to give you some of the things that I believe in and I talk about all the time. You've probably heard it many times, but this is what I believe. You know, being in transition today, and it has been for years, is really your permanent job. Landing's only temporary. The good news, everyone, you'll all land. That's the good news. The unfortunate situation is that you're going to be in transition again in a few years. But now, between now and the new year is a great time to network. It is a great time to land. And I wish you all luck between now and the new year. The other thing that I talk about is that while you are in transition, you really should be thinking strategically. Okay. How should I approach this? Okay. What am I looking for? How could I evaluate the opportunities? Okay. Who should I be networking with? Number of things like that. Okay. So think strategically as you go through this. And just remember, every moment, there is a opportunity to land the position. Okay. So keep that in mind. It could happen at any time. Some of you during this presentation may be receiving calls for different opportunities. That's fine. That would be great. Just keep that in mind. At any time, you could have an opportunity to land a position. And what you want to do through your search is meet what I call the POIs, the people of influence. These are the movers and shakers. These are the people who could help you and help others hire you. So keep those in mind. And my simple ones, my ABCs, to always be connected to your network, people you have in your network, and also continue to connect to new people, because your network is your most important asset, really, when you work with it. What it has to do, it's important to know a lot of people, but it's more important to know a lot of people who know you. So keep that in mind. Always be connecting. And this is a great opportunity to connect with people during the holiday season. And my ABP, look, always be positive. You'll all land. Just a question of when. And be prepared, because as I've said, opportunities could happen at any time. Okay. So recognize that, be open to it. And here, it depends. These are the two most important words I believe you should carry, not only when you're in transition, but when you're in life. Situations occur and you react to them. And things are generally unique. It's generally not the same. So as you go through this, think strategically. The options you take, okay, are dependent upon the situation. The good thing about networking, there's no rules, no rule book. It's up to your creativity and what you determine what you want to do when you think strategically. So these are some of the things that I believe in, and it somewhat drives what I end up talking about. So let's see, what are we going to talk about today? Well, what do you need to start your search if you haven't already thought about that? Let's talk about things you should be assessing. Okay, what's really the job for you? Okay, you've been in a position maybe 15, 20 years. You were trained for that in college. Your first job was that position with that industry, and then your next position is based upon your experience in the previous industry and your job, et cetera, et cetera. And then it comes to a point where you might want to say to yourself, is this really what I want to do? Is this all there is? And think about it. So let's talk about what your job is. I'll talk about, what should be in your toolbox, because you need a toolbox. Everybody does as you go through this. How do you select target companies? Why do you select target companies? Okay. How do you get into these target companies? We'll chat about that. Okay. What networking groups should you belong to? And where else can you network? I'll talk about how to manage your job search, how to evaluate your search, and then we'll just wrap it up as we go through. So those are the items we're going to talk about today. And buckle your seatbelts, and let's see where we go with this. Okay. Let's first talk over here on, how do you really start? What do you need to know? Well, in doing it, first thing, look, when you get in transition, your emotions are really juggled, going back and forth. You really get hit. You question, am I as good as I think I am? And look, be confident in everybody. You are each really good at what you do, and don't lose self-confidence. Okay. Just because a company or an individual lets you go from position, it might not be because of you. It might be because the company has not performed well. Okay. They don't have cash flow to sustain their operations. They made bad decisions in the past that created a situation where they have to do layoffs. Okay. Maybe you have been adding value to the organization and you've never really communicated the value that you add, and they're not aware of it. Okay. So get over it. Okay. Just move on. Focus on something else as you go forward. Look for the next opportunity. Okay. What you want to do, you want to assess your skill set. Okay. And in doing that, we'll talk a little bit about it. You want to assess the type of organization that's good for you. You want to look at that. What type of job do you really want? Are there any work restrictions that you have that will prevent you from performing in certain jobs that are out there? Okay. You want to determine the job requirements. What do you have to do in your toolbox to address it? How you want to choose target companies. And you want to know, okay, now how I have these targets, how do I get into them? How do I speak to the people I want to speak with? What information do I want to gather from these discussions? And what's the compensation level I'm looking for? I could be looking for a certain job, but then realize once I'm there, or once I do my research, that it's not going to compensate me at the level that I want. So you might have to adjust what you're doing, going through it. And what you definitely have to do during this whole search, you have to find ways to manage your time and assess your progress. Most people have a big difficulty in managing their time. And in doing it, numerous people really do not evaluate their progress. And they're floating out there. And then, we'll talk some more about how you evaluate progress, how you're doing on this. In assessing things, what should you be assessing? Well, let's look at it. First of all, your skills. Okay, take a look at it. Now you got your soft skills. You also have your hard skills. And then there's your technical skills. Okay. What I suggest you do, make a list of all your skills. Go through your resume, take a look at it. And as you make these lists, these will help you in creating the documents that you need to have a successful campaign. Soft skills today are more and more important every day. Companies are looking at the soft skills as opposed to I'll call it the hard skills. They are now, most of the people as they hire now today, they're looking for well-rounded people, but at the same time, they're looking for specifics that individuals have. You want to look at your strengths, okay? And also, what are your weaknesses? What are the things that you really have to improve on? You know it best. And during this time, this could be an opportunity for you to take some courses in some time that you haven't, and lots of courses that are available to turn some of the weaknesses you have. Let's say if it's in Excel, for instance, you could take Excel courses, or if it's Word, or if it's PowerPoint, something like that. You could take these courses that you could get a certificate in, which would upgrade your skill set in those areas. But also make a list of your strengths and your weaknesses, so you know what they are, and you could comment on those when you go into your interviewing. Okay. This is one of the keys that you should be doing if you have not already. Make a list of the things you like to do, and also the things you don't like to do. Now, there might have been things that you used to do that you really enjoyed, but as you have progressed in your career, you no longer want to do it. You don't enjoy it anymore. So, make a list of these things and then prioritize those. And that then could give you further insight of what you want to do, what you want to look for, the position, okay? And how about your personality? How's this going to play into it, okay? Are you an individual who likes to work alone? Or do you want to work in teams? And that could determine which type of company you might want to go into, which some companies, the whole thing they do is teamwork, okay? They want to work in teams. Today, with COVID, the way we've had it, and a lot of us are home and we work alone. So which one do you like? Which combination do you like? Okay. And your environment. Earlier on this when we were getting here early to the meeting, we were talking about it. Some people say, I'm going to work remotely for now, and I'm not even going to go in the office. I don't want a position that goes in office. And if you look on the job boards today, you're going to see numerous jobs that are remote only. Now, what could happen is that with remote working today, you could expand your target company list. Okay? It used to be we wanted to work at companies generally in our geographical area that were close to home, commutable. But in today's environment, you could live here in New Jersey and work for a company in California. Okay? That maybe is where their offices are, but they offer remote processing. So you could do that today, and that could be part of now your target list. So think about that. Okay. And what type of people do you want to work with? Okay. Do you want to work with people in different generations? If you're older, do you only want to work with people that in your generation? Think about it as you go through this. And what about the size of the organization? Are we looking for, multinational type organizations? Are we looking for large companies, 1,000 people, 50,000 people? Or do you want to work in a small pond with maybe under 100 people, maybe under 10 people? These are some of the things you should be thinking about as you go into search. And, from job descriptions, restrictions, maybe you don't want to travel anymore. Maybe you have commitments. You have child care. You might have elder care. Okay. That could restrict your travel. At the same time, it could, restrict, some of the time where you could devote to your position. You might be on family leave. Does a company offer a liberal family leave policy. So these are some of the things you have to really consider or assess as you're going to this your search. And then, do you need a career coach? Okay, it's possible. Do you need a coach who's just going to help you on interviewing? Do you need one who's going to, to help you on resume writing? Look, professionals, especially sports professionals, okay? They're professionals, but they have coaches. They have batting coaches in baseball, the pitching coaches, fielding coaches, okay? Coaches are available. There's all different types of coaches. And these are some of the things that I suggest you do along the way to assess what you want in your campaign.
Excuse me, Marty. There is a question on the prior slide.
Okay.
And so Bill is asking, what is the difference between a hard and technical skill? You had soft, hard, and technical skills at the bullet.
Well, look, the hard skills would be, let's say that you specialize in marketing, okay? And in marketing, what you do different types of analysis work specifically in marketing. Okay? Whereas technical skills, your technical skills are more on different platforms that you could work on, different computer software that you would utilize, things of that nature. Okay. Any other questions at this point?
Not posted just now.
Okay, great. All right, let's talk about what job is it for you. Okay. Do you want to have any job? Think about it. How about the jobs that match your qualifications? That would be great. Have a job that makes you happy? Yeah, you want to be happy in the position. You don't want to have a situation where it comes Sunday evening and it's like, oh boy, I got another week of this. This is really what I want to do. I want to go in the office, or I got to do remote work on Monday. No. You want to find something maybe that makes you happy. You definitely want to have a situation that's going to, you'll be able to be successful at. How about one where, it's the right culture for you? More relaxed or more formal? Maybe that's what you want. But look at this, as you're, looking for a job, think about all these things, okay? You want one that's going to start within your time frame. There might be a position that people are looking at and they're saying, okay, this is what I want. But the company say, well, we don't have the budget for this. We're not looking to put this position onto our organization until the fourth quarter of 2022. Is that what you want to do? You want to wait around for that? Not necessarily. Okay. Definitely you want to have, what's your desired compensation level? And really what you want to look at, in my opinion, is a position that has all of these factors. Okay. All the above. That's what you want. You want to have one where obviously you're qualified for, a job that's going to make you happy, one that you're going to be successful at. It's in the right culture, the people you work with, the organization. Okay. It's going to start when fits your time frame right now. And obviously you're going to get paid accordingly to what you feel you're worth. So think about this, which, you don't want to settle for a position today. And this is taking the emotional piece out of it, okay? Think with a clear head, be focused, and follow these guidelines to help you find the position that you're looking for. You know that you want to be working by a certain date, and that's what you really is going to be driving you. In your toolbox, well, what's in it? Well, number one, you got to have a positive attitude towards this. What happened in the past happened in the past. You're not going to change it. Okay? You could be angry. Get over it. Okay? Anger will, will show as you talk with other people. So, get rid of it as soon as possible. Be positive. You will land. You'll find a better opportunity. Most people do find better opportunities in each position they look for. So keep that in mind. Okay. You want to dress for success. In today's environment, especially when we go on to, I'll call it the Zoom calls or go to meetings, the dress has been quite casual to some extent. When I look at it, I'm really, somewhat surprised because some certain people are making a first impression, and some of the first impressions that I have seen are not really that great. We've gotten very lackadaisical to some extent on when we get onto these meetings. But you really should be, dressing for success. You're always on stage, so keep that in mind. You're looking for, a professional job, dress professional, but you could have business casual, don't get me wrong. But, I've seen people in t-shirts, certain things, just, I'm kind of, shocked at it. And the other thing that you generally want to do is that when you're on these calls, show your face, have people see who you are, okay? It's a lot easier to chat with someone when you see them on these screens than speaking to a black screen with just their name on it, okay? You want to have an elevator pitch in your toolbox, or pitches, as I call it. You need more than one. And your pitch is generally made up of what I call the 4 C's and 3 W's. Your 4 C's, meaning that it's going to be a clear pitch, it's going to be consistent, you're going to say the same theme over and over and over again. It's a theme, it's not necessarily the same words. You want to make it concise so people will remember it, generally under 90 seconds. Okay, and you want to make it compelling. You want to make it interesting so people hear what you're talking about and they'll be listening. At the same time, the 3 W's on who you are, okay, what you do. And that's not a title, that's a role, because certain companies have the same title, but the job responsibilities and the roles could be vastly different. So you want to talk about who you are, what your role is, and what value you have added to companies. It's the value piece that you have added that is really the tipping point in when you meet people and they get to look at you and say, boy, this person's really creative, has helped a lot of companies become successful. I want this person on my team because he or she has done it successfully before, and I could then assume they're going to do it successfully at my place and add value to my organization. You want to create, if you have not already, I'll call it a personal brand. What people know you for. When people are asking for certain types of people and they're having a discussion, you want your name to come up top of mind, okay? Think about it. Are you a marketing person? Are you a contractor? Okay. We have Alex Freund's on this, call. When you ask for the landing expert, well, that's Alex. That's his brand. You know what? Alex is really, really good in, coaching people when it comes to preparing for interviews. So you want to create a personal brand, why people know you. You want to have a marketing plan. And I call this marketing plan I consider it a one-page document. It's a document that takes from the past and moves from the future. And when I say takes from the past, generally the first paragraph will be lifted from your resume. It'll be your professional profile, what you've done, what you're all about. You might then have 3 to 5 bullets on your major achievements that you have done in the past. And then you list your target companies, and that's going to the future. And this way you could give it to someone, they could scan it. They could just look at it, within, 10 seconds, see what companies you were looking for, and they could have on top of their mind, well, I know somebody at this company. Well, I don't know this company, but I know somebody at their competitors. So it helps people help you on your marketing plan. Definitely need a resume. We all know that. But the question is, how many pages? There's no rules here. You could have a 1-page, you could have a 2-page resumes, you could have multiple page resumes. I would not go past 3 or 4 pages on your resume. The largest resume I've seen was 34 pages, 5 pounds. I never got past the 2nd page. Okay. But what you want to understand is that when you're applying for different positions, in my opinion, your resume should be tailored each time to the job specs. So that means you're going to have multiple resumes. Right. You need a real powerful LinkedIn profile. A lot of companies, a lot of recruiters, the first thing they do today, they're not looking at the resume. They looked at the LinkedIn profile. That's what they want to look at. So you want to have a really powerful profile. In doing that, you want to have a professional picture from the shoulders up, smiling. Okay. You want to have a complete profile filled out. That includes recommendations and referrals, so to speak. Okay. You want to have your references available. Have a list of references. Don't give them out until the last moment. But on your references, keep your references informed on how your progress is during your time of being in transition. Let them know what's going on. And you want to have, I'll call it templates for cover letters and thank you letters so that you can get them out right away. These are generally the things you want to have in your toolbox. And you want to have target companies, which is really important. As you go through it,
excuse me, Marty.
Yes.
So a question on actually the slide before this last one.
Okay.
For the job search, should you prioritize what you were looking for? That's a question from Pat.
Yes.
Okay.
The answer is yes.
Can I just amplify that slightly in that you had about 15 things or so listed on that slide. And the question really is, yes, the obvious answer is priority, but what happens if you get 6 or 7 of those things, not necessarily in priority order, but they have those? Is that also a factor?
Look, this is an individual situation, and you have to determine in your mind, okay, which is most important to you. And so in looking at all this, you have to balance things out and, look at it and say, all right, I have all these are all the things I want, okay, but let's see, which one do I want most? Is working remotely most important for me today? Or is it that I want to work in an atmosphere where there's multiple generations? Or is it the compensation that's really important to me right now? Okay. You as an individual need to prioritize what's most important to you. And in doing it, when you start looking at the total package, so to speak, you look at it and then say, all right, let me look at it when I prioritize it. Once again, which is the one or two that I find is critical for me at this time?
Thank you.
That's how okay, you're welcome.
And Marty, there are also two questions from Julie. The first, she's curious, what was the role for the 34-page resume?
It was for a sales position.
Okay.
Okay. But I'll tell you, it was 34 pages. It was a dot matrix printer. Okay. It was about 1.5 inches thick. Weighed about 5 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Her other question is, I was recently asked to enter my references on the job application before I had the first interview. Is that common? Should I provide them?
I've been hearing, that, people have been finding that they've been asked to list that, especially in some of the large companies. Companies are using that to screen people. Are you going to put it, you'll write them down? That's up to you. That's a personal choice that you have to make. My situation, the way I look at it, I generally do not give out my references until the absolute end of it, meaning, okay, they're ready to give an offer, and they say, would like to give you an offer, but we want to check your references. And at that time, I will tell them, look, okay, I will give you my references, but I ask you not to contact them for at least 24 hours, because what I want to do is that I want to let my references know that you will be calling, so that they will answer your call, because they're quite busy. I don't want to have them disrupt their operation. And if I don't tell them that you'd be calling, okay, they might not take your call. So I give them 24 hours. That's what I ask. I hold it to the end. But if you feel that, the application says you have to, well, it's up to you if you want to apply for that.
Okay.
Hopefully that answered the question.
Gary has a question. Yep, Gary has a question. The job market has changed significantly over the past few months. Please share your views of these changes and how they have affected searching for opportunities.
Well, Gary, why don't you mention, some of the changes that you see, and we could address it that way.
Well, what I'm seeing is a higher level of activity generally for people who are searching earnestly and effectively and efficiently, more opportunities for interviews. And obviously this is, I think, pretty much a reflection of the fact that we have a society now that is safer because of vaccination, and there's more opportunity not only for people to interviewing online, but even getting personal interviews. So there's been a general increase in activity. And well, my own view anyway is I'm much more optimistic in helping people as I do, that they will land, and they will land sooner than they may have 6 or 9 months ago. So I just asked the question because I think it is very, very relevant today for anybody who's in search, and wanted you to share your views about this.
Okay, got clarification. Thanks, Gary. Look, this is the period that they call the Great Resignation. Okay, we have a lot of musical chairs going on, as I call it. A lot depends upon the type of position you're looking for and the type of company that you're looking to get into. Yes, there's a lot more activity now. And as I'll be talking about tomorrow, about networking during the holidays, I have found, and I go back to my records that I've been keeping, over the years, that during the period Thanksgiving to January, there are a lot of people who get hired, and there's a lot of activity going on. Okay, and in today's environment, that is holding true. Yes, more people are more, they feel safer during this COVID period than they've done, let's say, last year, because of the vaccination rate up here. Okay. Although now with the new variant coming in, I'm not so sure about that, how long that will last. Number of groups are thinking about having live meetings. Okay. So the interviewing has picked up. Okay, Alex talks about, he has a real good presentation on interviewing. Some of the larger companies are doing the bot interview, where you're just talking to a computer. Okay, but yeah, there's a lot of activity going on today. People are being hired today. So I think it's a good job market for the job seeker. But at the same time I say that, there's a situation where companies, numerous companies, are still quite particular, and they're feeling that, they're putting out there, I got 10 specs I want, 10 things I'm looking for in a person. And if they have 7, they're not good enough for me. I want 10. And they're still on their, they're somewhat stubborn and saying, okay, I want these specific people because there's a lot of people out there, and I'm sure that I'm going to find the person, the ideal candidate. So it works both ways, and it's based upon, I think, the company and what their attitudes are and what their needs are. But there's no doubt about it that today there is more hiring going on. And when you look at it, I think, number one, the best way to still find a position is through networking. But there are other, a lot of things are happening on LinkedIn and social media. So hopefully I've addressed that, Gary, and have answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. Especially I like the point about letting everybody know that this period, which is a holiday period, is not a time to lose the opportunities to do the things that you're recommending, because people get hired at this time. And this is a time, in my view, when the ground gets seeded for you with opportunities that will be coming out in the first quarter of next year. So for people who are working conscientiously in job search, by all means, as we say, keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah. The pedal to the metal right now. And I'll be talking, quite a bit about this at tomorrow's Breakfast Club.
Great.
And I think, I agree with you. This is a great opportunity today. And I'm going to go into further detail on that tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about, how do you select target companies? All right. And the question that I have for everybody, do you have what I call your yellow brick road? Okay. When Dorothy landed in Oz, okay, what was her objective? Her objective was to get home. What's your objective? To find a new home, a new position. Now, Dorothy, in talking to different people, the question was, how do I get to Kansas? How do I get home? And the word was, well, you got to go see the wizard first. Well, now how do I find the wizard? Okay, how do I find the jobs that I'm looking for? Well, young lady, just follow the yellow brick road. That's the path you want to go to. Follow that. And the question is, number one, do you know where you want to go? Do you know what your home is going to be? And do you know how to get there? What's your path to get there? And that's why I ask you, do you have a yellow brick road? Right? What you want to do by selecting target companies, that allows you to start really focusing on your yellow brick road, how you're going to get there. Okay. Now, in addition to selecting target companies, places that you might want to work, okay, by selecting target companies, it helps other people help you get into those target companies. And at the same time, it helps others focus on how to help you, because they might not know some people in those target companies. They might know certain people who know people in those target companies, or they may know people in competitors of your target company. And generally, competitors know a lot about their competition. Okay. If you don't have target companies, and generally, what's going to happen, most people, when they think about target companies, they think of large, well-known organizations out there. Okay. We got Verizon, you have Pfizer, you have Mars, you have, large name companies. Okay. But most of the organizations today that make up this economy are small, medium-sized businesses with the names that you might not even know. They might be around the corner from you. Okay. So you might want to say, well, I want to get into the pigment industry. And I mentioned that because I was in the pigment industry. And it's it's a industry made up of a lot of small, medium-sized operations that then sell pigments to larger organizations, not only in the paint industry, but also in the ink industry, also in the plastics industry. So you might want to, if you don't have specific target companies, you should have at least target industries on where you want to be. And to do that, to find out these target companies, you want to do your research. And one of the best ways to do research is what I consider going to see your research librarians, and generally the county libraries. Okay, in New Jersey, it's generally free. You can do it remotely, but you want to talk to the research librarians because they know the tools, the databases that will help you find information on different companies. And one of the largest in the United States, it used to be called Reference USA. It's now called Reference Solutions. It lists all the companies in the United States, and it lists that talks about the revenue, the number of people that work there. They have what they call the SIC code, the Standard Industrial Code, which is on everyone's tax return, business tax return. It says what industry they are in. And you could do a Google search on SIC codes. And in doing that, you could then go to Reference Solutions, and through SIC codes, find different industries and then target companies that you could do further research on. And also network. network with, your personal contacts and your business contacts. They will tell you more about, possible companies to consider or help you find out information about companies that you're targeting. Okay. You could also go to, NJ Biz or ROI or Cranes, or go into, some of your industry associations, and they'll give you, let's say, for instance, NJ Biz in their weekly magazine, they list NJ in New Jersey's tops. Every week they list that. And in the one of them, they had the top accounting firms in New Jersey. And they list the 50 top accounting firms in New Jersey. They list the name, the address, okay, the type of business they're in, the executive who's in charge, and also how many people are in the organization. And when you get this information, you could then do further research, and that could be part of your targets. So you want to get information about organizations, and helps you focus further on the companies that you'd like to work for. Okay. There's also business or trade publications out there. So these are some of the things you should be looking for to help determine which companies I'd be targeting on my search to find my next position. And what you want to do is also find the decision makers in these target companies. Now on solutions, not only does it have the name of the company, the number of people they employ, where they're located, the SIC code, but they also list the top executives of the organization. And in doing that, one of the databases has contact information on the executives. So it's built in right away, where you could find a lot of information to write letters or to, contact the people who are going to make the decision.
Excuse me, Marty?
Yeah.
So Alan has a question. Are you seeing the hiring now in large or smaller companies, or both?
Both. But I would say at the moment, during the last month, most of it has been in large companies. Okay, and there's a reason for that. The large companies at this time, they have their budgets in place for 2022. And at the same time, their budgets for 2021 are almost exhausted. So they're looking at their budgets that they have right now and say, okay, do I still have money in my budget to hire people for next year? Or do I have it in next year's budget? And what they want to do is they want to hire people now to get them ready to hit the road running at the beginning of 2022. And that's generally in the large companies at this time. Smaller companies, they're trying to wrap up the year end that they have. They're preparing things for next year. They're getting their final shipments out, especially in today's situation with the supply chain issue that we have. They're trying to ship as much as they can right now. The small organizations, they're also small companies. A number of them are really tied to this the holiday season, and they're really busy on trying to get goods out the door and make increase their sales right now. So for them, for the small, medium-sized companies during this month, hiring is somewhat slower. Okay, hopefully that answered that question. Anything else, David?
Yes, Greg has a related question. Should I continue to include larger companies in the NYC metro area if that is number 3 on my priority list, versus more local companies / jobs that don't require much commuting time? I'm more focused on the latter. However, I don't want to miss a possible dream position in the former.
I think he answered his question. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, you know, everyone, what I would say, what you have to do is that you have to look at yourself. This job search is an individual situation. Everyone here is unique on this call. Everyone here on this call have their own priorities. Everyone here has their own situation that they have to look at. And, you know, I could tell you in general what to do, but specifically that is up to you. You know, take for instance myself. I mean, I started my career in Fortune 50 companies. I worked with some of the world's largest. I got to meet some really, really good people. Okay, really powerful people, who, you know, if I, you know, talk to you about them, you're like, really, that person? Yeah, that person. But at the same time, I've looked at small, medium-sized organizations, which is really where most of my career has been. And for me, I prefer a small, medium-sized operation because I get to see more of what's going on with the company, and I could have more of an impact in increasing its value. That's for me. I'm never going to work for a large organization, but there are certain people, my peers, who say, gee, I only want to work for large corporations. So that's individual. You could hedge your bets, so to speak, by saying I'm going to do both. But in doing it, you know, when it comes down to, let's say, for instance, you get a situation where you have a nice offer from a company, you know, let's say New York, and then you have one that's more local for you, where if it's local, it's a 10-minute commute, whereas going into the city, it's an hour and 15 minutes. And let's say you have a difference that the New York organization is offering you $10,000 more than the local company. Well, which one will you work for? Let's say you get both offers at the same time. All right. You know, that's up to you to decide what you want to do. Is the lower commuting time worth to you the, you know, foregoing a $10,000 difference in salary? I can't make that decision. You have to make that.
Thank you, Marty.
Okay. Anything else, David?
Not on the hopper just now.
Okay, great. All right, let's talk about how do you get into, you know, target companies. There's 4 ways. These have not changed. Even during COVID, this has not changed. It's networking, networking, networking. That's number 1. Okay. There's recruiters. LinkedIn. There's classified ads still. There's the internet. You know, you have Indeed. You have LinkedIn Jobs. Okay. You have ZipRecruiter. You have lots of things on the internet. And there's direct mail, where you could send a letter to an organization. Remember, you could get all this information about a company at Reference Solutions, including, you know, emails of these executives. So these are the 4 ways you could get into the target companies. For me, I think the best one to do is the networking, networking, networking. Okay. You could choose recruiters. Don't get me wrong. You know, there are numerous recruiters out there. But however, some of these recruiters, you really have to understand how they work. Okay. And you want to choose them wisely. Okay. You want to choose recruiters based upon your target companies and disciplines. Okay. What I mean by that, let's say that your specialty, I'm going to say, is manufacturing. Okay. And your target company is a manufacturing company. But a friend of yours says, you know, Joe, I have a real good recruiter, and you should talk to my recruiter. Well, what Joe hasn't told you, his recruiter deals in financial services. So his recruiter will have lots of positions in financial services. They don't have one position in manufacturing because they don't deal in that space. So you could go to the recruiter that Joe recommends, and could be a very good recruiter for people in the financial services space, not in manufacturing. So you want to find those recruiters that deal in your industry, your target companies, where they would have the positions that you're looking for. And you can find these type of recruiters if you go to the Directory of Executive Recruiters. It's by Kennedy Publications. It's online now, and I think it's still hardcover, where they list recruiters, recruiting companies. First of all, they distinguish between executive search and contingent recruiters. The difference, I'm assuming everybody knows, but just real quick, executive search, they get paid a fee by the company no matter if they get a candidate or not. Contingent recruiters, they only get a fee by successfully having the candidate they present chosen by the company. Okay, so the contingent recruiters are really, really hungry, and they move really, really fast, and their time spending with you is very, very limited. Okay, but you want to go to the Director of Executive Recruiters because it lists the names of the recruiting firm, their contact information, and also what their specialties are. So you could find recruiters that specialize in project management jobs, so to speak, in that space. Okay. You also could choose recruiters based upon recommendations of people you know. But in doing that, just make sure that these recruiters who they recommend are in the industry that you're looking at. Okay. And then when you speak with recruiters, evaluate them. It's like anything else. Ask them questions. Ask them questions about, their firm, how they would present you. Okay. What's their current success rate? How many people have they placed in the last, 3 months? Okay. Where have they placed these people? What industries do they deal with? Okay. And find out, will they, talk to you on a regular basis? Or will it be, well, we'll take your resume, we'll, send it to different companies, and we'll contact you if we have a bite. You want to develop relationships with these recruiters. So choose them wisely. Networking groups, because it's networking. Where do you want to find these groups? Well, currently, you can go to what, I've helped develop this, My Networking Central. It's a new platform. We went live about 3 weeks ago. What it is, it's for job seekers, networking groups, and speakers at the moment. It's free. And Alex is on the call, had his list of recruiting firms, which is really, really good. We've taken it in our database that we've had, where a job seeker could go and say, I want to know which networking group to meet next Wednesday. And we'll give you a list of networking groups. And we're also working who will be the speakers at these networking groups. Then if you want to say, hey, look, I want a networking group that meets tomorrow on Saturday, and I want to hear Marty Latman again. Well, if you put that into our queries that we have, you're going to find that I am speaking at the Breakfast Club tomorrow. Okay, it's a free group. It's one place to go today. Also, what you could do for networking groups, you could do Google searches. Okay, marketing networking groups in New Jersey, and you get a list. Okay, and then what you could do, you could contact those groups. What you want to also do is that in your networking, look for people of influence. You want to look for the decision makers. And what you could do, you could see these are some of the people who are posting a lot on LinkedIn. These are the people who might have podcasts. These are the people who might be on TED Talks. These are the people of influence. You could talk to your friends, get people in your network, and they could point to, you should be speaking to John Smith. John's really good. He's a good connector. Okay. And what I'd suggest you do is become a member of at least 4 different networking groups. And these are the 4. One is with members employed in your industry. One is with members in transition in your industry or profession. One with members in transition in multiple industries at your level or higher, like we are today, PSG. One with members employed in multiple industries in all levels. And there are different networking groups that are like that. So these are the 4 as a minimum I think you should be in. And it covers both people who will be employed, who may have jobs that you're looking for, and people who are in transition, who you could talk about what's going on in their search. You might learn different things. Okay. Where else can you network? Well, there's lots of places. Your personal contacts, you could always network with volunteer groups, family functions, seminars, charitable events, galas, family sports, soccer, baseball, basketball. You could have an everyday opportunity, your cleaners, the hair salon, mailman, grocery, your church, your synagogue. And people talk about, I had a situation where I went to have my hair cut. And as a result of having my hair cut, the person who was cutting my hair connected me with an individual who was needing a CFO. And within a week, he hired me to be a CFO. So you never know when it's going to come. You got your chambers of commerce. Have you gone? Have you ever spoken to people at the chambers of commerce? They could tell you businesses that are coming into the area, people who are leaving the area, etc. Okay, you got alumni groups from your colleges. They love to help you. And then you speak to people in your alumni group. Okay, you got a common bond. You both went to the same educational area, place, and you have something to talk about. You got industry associations, professional association, social networking sites. You do LinkedIn. You could, meet a lot of people on LinkedIn. Obviously, the internet boards are out there. Indeed, etc. You got your blogs you could look at. And then what you have is what I call my inner circle of friends. And I suggest everyone have an inner circle of friends. This could be anywhere from 3 to maybe 7 people. These are people you could depend upon at any time, where you could, provide for you support if you're down in the dumps. They can give you advice as to what, you should be doing. They could be very critical of certain things that you're thinking about doing. Why would you want to do something like that? Why don't you take a different approach, etc.? They will help you focus. At the same time, they give you support. And personally, I think you should have one and meet with them on a regular basis. Okay, it's good for your sanity and it's good for your professional guidance. How do you manage your time, which is really important as we go through it? I suggest right now, your horizon is really 2 weeks. and you set it up in weekly goals for each week, and you have a rolling 2-week schedule. So we're in this week, we're now scheduling for next week. At the end of this week, we'll evaluate this week's success. We have next week's already laid out, then we plug in another week after that. So we keep on rolling in 2 weeks. And doing it, you know, you have, who should you call? And how many calls should you make this week? Which networking meetings should I attend? How many interviews can I schedule? How many coffee meetings should I schedule? How many other events should I attend? What you want to do, you want to lay down some criteria as to things you should be doing and the number of things you should be doing. Okay. Because look, everyone on this call, everyone is employed. You all have jobs. You all have jobs. If you are in transition, your job is to find that next success story. That's your job. And in doing it, okay, it should be a full-time job, meaning at least 35 hours a week. And in doing it, it's like anything else. It's if you were going to the office. You have your schedule. This is what your plans are for the next week or so. And then I'm evaluating every day as I go through it. So these are some of the things you should be doing. Okay? Which events should you attend? How much time do I need to follow up on these items as I meet people? Build in follow-up time because you need it. Okay. And how do I keep track of all these things? Do I do it with a software program? Do I do it in Excel? Do I do it on, I'll call it index cards? How do I do all this stuff? Okay. You need some type of organization so you keep monitoring your success. Okay. And what I suggest you do is that you contact people, those who are working after hours time. And what I mean by that, okay, is that during the money time, during the day, you know, you should be, speaking with people who you're not disturbing their work. You got to keep in mind that people who you want to contact who are working have a job to do, and that's their work. So, try to, talk to them in off hours, but during the business day, start meeting other people. Okay. And the after hours time should be dedicated to some of the follow-ups that you would have, where you set alerts in your to different target companies. You might want to put alerts out there, to do your emails, etc. Okay. And then what you want to do is set your long-term goal. Okay. When do I want to be working? When is the time that I definitely want to be there? I want to be in that position. And how do you evaluate the search? Well, you already set down the criteria on your week on how many people I want to meet, how many meetings I want to attend, etc. Now you're going to, at the end of the week, evaluate it. Did I do what I was setting out to do? If I didn't, why not? What distracted me from doing it? Do I have to reevaluate what I'm doing? Okay. Let me get some feedback. Am I getting the interviews? And am I meeting the people? Okay. Take a look at your LinkedIn profile. See how many people have viewed your profile. It gives you an inkling as to, maybe I have to improve my profile. Maybe I have to enhance it. I want to get more people to look at it. And discuss your progress with your inner circle. Or as Paul Sakalo might say, Paul talks about his work buddy. He's the person who you're working with. They're also in transition, and you're both basically comparing notes, okay? So you want to get feedback along the line, but you want to measure what your goals were and how successful you are in reaching them. And then last, you want to see, really, how do I feel on my progress? Am I meeting what I'm doing, what I want to do? Am I doing as well as I think I can? If not, well, do I have to reevaluate my strategy? Do I need a coach? Think about it. You want to do something, okay? Do I need to change that strategy? Don't change it, 1 week and then change it the second week. Think about it. Watch your trends, gather the information, and test it, okay? Just to wrap all this stuff up, okay? What you want to do during this search is overcome your emotions and your fear, okay? Everybody here will land. Keep that in mind. You'll all land as long as you want to land. As long as you're doing things to land, you will land. Everybody does, okay? You want to be positive, and you want to be self-confident, okay? You'll land, and you're good at what you do, okay? Don't feel discouraged. You're going to get a lot of no's. I can tell you that. You're going to get a lot of no's. Look, it only takes one yes. The more no's you get, the closer you are getting to that yes. As Sam says, it depends. That's very true. Think strategically, okay? You have opportunities every day. What are the circumstances? What do I have to do? No, there's no rules. What you want to do is develop your targets and your tools that you need. You want to set your near-term and your long-term goals. And then you want to monitor your progress. That's what you want to do every day. Okay, do it. Make notes every day. People you talk to, new appointments that you make. And then at the end of the week, evaluate it. Compare it to what your goals were that you set the previous 2 weeks ago. Okay. Just remember this, that, being in transition is a journey, everyone. It really is. There's some parts you can't control. On those that you can control, control them. For those that you cannot control, let it go. Don't try to control things you cannot control. But on this journey, hopefully you will do, you will learn, you will experiment, try different things, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, believe it or not. I can promise you this, when you land, you will be a better person. You will be a better person than you were going into this. You'll know more about yourself. You'll know more about your strengths. You know more about your weaknesses, which hopefully you are now turned into strengths. Okay. You will know more about people in your network. You will know about people who will really help you. And you will know about the people who just say they will, and they really won't. Okay. You will learn a lot, everybody, during this time. Enjoy it. Okay. And if you need my assistance, you want to speak with me, I could always be reached here. I want to thank you for being patient and listening to what I have to say. And with that, any other questions?
Yeah, thanks, Marty. Yeah, there are a couple. One is from Sam. There's actually two Sams have two questions. So one Sam asks, what is considered a good number of profile views on LinkedIn? So that had to do with your prior slide of managing your search.
Right. Okay.
So what is considered? Yep.
I look at it, okay, and I want to have personally, minimum. I like to have like 100 views a week. Okay, That's what I want to try to have, at least. But that's subjective. It depends upon what you want. Okay. But I want to have as many people as I can, look at who I am. And what I do is that I comment a lot on threads that are out there. I try to participate in some of the communications that are out there. In LinkedIn, you have two options in LinkedIn. I think also in Facebook, where you could like something or you could comment. In LinkedIn, if you like in something that was said on a thread in LinkedIn, what happens is that you get your picture, which is like microscopic, next to the comment. And that goes for about, till there's about 6 little pictures. And then if you got a 7th picture, your picture disappears and becomes ... and people don't see you. Okay. Whereas if you comment and make a comment and you could say something, this is a really interesting article. Just comment on that. Your picture and your comment stays on the thread and people will see you and they see who you are and your comment. And then as this goes through, more and more people you get to see who you are. Okay. And you could also post, okay, out in social media. What I generally do, because I have a huge network, every year I send out a holiday message to people. And it's pretty simple what I say. I sent one out this year, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. By the 3rd day, I had 9,000 comments, over 9,000 comments already by the 3rd day. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you. And then there's a question from another Sam. Is there a software program focused on the active job seeker that will facilitate tracking activity?
There's a couple out there. I know ACT used to do that. Some of that you could use ACT. It ties to your contacts and Outlook. That's one of them. What I would suggest you do a Google search and talk to some of your friends. There are different software out there. It's a question of the, what the cost is and how efficient it is. Some people just do it and continue with Excel. But do a Google search, you'll find it. I know ACT is one.
Yeah, I know ACT. It's a contact manager. Yep, I'm aware of the program.
Okay.
And Cecily has a question. How do you build an inner circle? So you'll come back next week and talk about that for an hour.
In our luck, yeah, I could talk about that forever. But take a look at your contacts, okay? And look at your contacts and say, this person really is a person I respect. This is a person who I think is really successful. This is a person who has generally is creative and has a lot of ideas. And then what you do, you ask them, I'd like you to be part of my inner circle. Would you know of anyone, would you like to be part of it? And at the same time, through your travels, you get to meet more people who you might want to have on your inner circle. The situation that you want to have, in my opinion, is that you want to have people who are, number one, empathetic. If you need a shoulder to cry on, they're going to be there. And they'll be there anytime that you need it. Number two, okay, they're going to be critical of you. Okay, they're going to tell you, hey, that's stupid. Why do that? Okay, why don't you think about doing it a little this way? Someone who will be, creative and open-minded and be able to say, well, that's a pretty good idea you have, but maybe you could have better success if you do it this way. or if you approach a person this way. So that's how I go about doing it. Also, you want to have people in your inner circle who have really good connections. Okay, Cecily, hopefully that answers your question.
Terrific.
Okay, we got that done.
Yep, and it also reminds me of Paul. Oh. Yeah, go ahead, Cecily.
I just want to say thank you. It's very good. Sorry.
You're welcome.
And of course, Paul Sakala talks about work search buddies. So if you can find when he is presenting, he has presented that here at PSG of Mercer County. You can watch that presentation on our YouTube channel, but you can certainly find that again. And then Benny Racine, some of you know him from the Career Support Group, talks about forming your own board of directors in job search. So if you can find when he presents that, maybe a similar topic as well.
Yeah, and Paul published a pamphlet, his little book about work search buddies. It's a little thing, it's like $5. Okay, it has some really good points. Look at the presentation that he did here at PSG, and then if you want, contact Paul about his little pamphlet. It's really a nice little source to about work buddies. Okay.
Yep, and I'm going to post the link to that in chat in just a moment. But that seems, oh no, that one we asked already. So that seems to be our questions for this morning. So I want to thank you so much, Marty. It's always a treat, and I'm so pleased that we get to hear one of your terrific presentations. And we're, of course, very appreciative that you are a supporter of PSG of Mercer County and other groups as well.
Thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And I will be joining you tomorrow at the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. I'll give more information out about that in just a moment. But I really liked your point right from the beginning of, what should you be assessing? Because it really helps us understand our likes, our dislikes, our preferences. I think it really can help us be more effective in our job search for the right opportunity. And
you have to know yourself. And I think, what happens as you go through this, and personally, I think everyone should go through being in transition at least once. I really do. But as you go through this, you learn more about yourself. And the more you learn, the better you become. Okay. And, you get to a point where you really know this is what I want. This is what my worth is out there. And it really helps you as you go through things. Real quick, I had a situation where I was in between positions. I was talking to a person in Manhattan for this position, and I was on the train coming home one day, and he called me, and he wanted to offer this position to me. And I said, well, that sounds pretty good. I like, working, for your organization, et cetera, et cetera. And then he said, well, this is what I want to offer you. And he gave me $1 situation. And I said to him, well, I really would like to work for your organization, but I think that the salary package that you're offering is well below what this position should be compensated at. I'll be more than happy to talk to you further if you're open-minded on it, because I think you really should take a look at it. And he said, well, this is what it is, take it or leave it. And I said, okay, I'm leaving it, thank you very much, as the train pulled out of the station. And I never looked back. So I knew what I was, what my worth was, and that was it. So these are the decisions you want to make.
And also, which is related but actually different, is in your toolbox, what is your value? Because I think too many job seekers talk about, what did I used to do? And try and get the job the hiring manager to figure out your value. But when you know your value, you can talk to it and really make it very easy for the hiring manager to move forward with you, either the next interview or maybe even an offer. So I like that point as well. It's very important in my mind. And remember, people do get hired during the holiday season. A few years ago, I got a call in early December that they wanted to interview me. I wound up getting hired by February, but they started the process right around this time of year. So that was the last time I was hired in a full-time position. So there are certainly lots of opportunities, as Marty said. Either they've got to fill their end of year budget, or they've got to plan early for their next year budget. So be a part of the process. And if other people think that's not the case, then you've got less competition. It can work out very nicely.
4 out of the 5 positions I've held in my life, I've landed this time of year to start in early January.
Another example of that. There you go.
Okay.
So what we have coming up over the next couple of weeks, next week we will be right back here. PSG of Mercer County will meet on the 17th of December, and we have a career coach panel discussion. We have 4 different career coaches who are participating. That includes Alan Kirshner, Crystal MacArthur, Gary Landy, and Madeline Elmgren. And even though they're each career coaches, they have different specialties and focuses. So some focus only on certain things while others are generalists. And it'll be an open forum. So you'll have an opportunity to speak with the career coaches on your own. So certainly please join us and be a part of that conversation. Then the following 2 weeks are December 24th and December 31st. We will not be meeting on the 24th or the 31st for the holiday and New Year. We will be meeting next week, December 17th. So hopefully if you're available, you can come join Alan, Crystal, Gary, and Madeline as our career coach panel. And then as Marty mentioned, tomorrow morning, the group, the Breakfast Club of New Jersey, he is presenting a completely different topic called networking during the holidays. It was a point that he did bring up today, but he's going to go into it in much more detail tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Check out thebreakfastclubnj.com, thebreakfastclubnj.com for the connection info. And then also during the week, next week, PSG of Central New Jersey, one of our cousin organizations. Check out psgcnj.biz. They meet on Mondays at 10:30. At the very least, check out their new website. So congratulations on your new website. And PSG of Morris County, our other cousin organization, meets Wednesdays at 9:30, psgmc.org, psgmc.org. So that is our program for today. Once again, thank you, Marty. I will be looking forward to seeing you, of course, tomorrow morning. And for both you or anyone else on the call, I'm going to end this call in just a moment, but keep the session open for anyone that wants to hang around the virtual meeting room. So if Marty, you've got time, and folks, you've got time, hang around with us, grab a cup of coffee and chit chat about whatever you want. But until just then, in a moment, I'll simply say, bye, everybody.